I never wanted to work for a man like Luca Santoro. Everyone in the city knew his name, whispered it in dark corners, crossed themselves when they passed his restaurants, his clubs, his gleaming black cars that prowled the streets like predators. He was the king of this concrete kingdom, the man who could end your life with a phone call or save it with a nod. When the employment agency told me I'd been selected for the private chef position at the Santoro estate, I'd almost refused. Almost. But my mother's medical bills didn't care about my fear, and the salary they offered could change everything. Before we dive deeper, if you're enjoying this story, I'd be incredibly grateful if you'd subscribe to help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Your support means everything to me. I'd also love to know, where in the world are you listening from? Drop a comment below. The Santoro mansion rose like a monument to power, all white stone and iron gates, security cameras tracking my every movement as I drove through the entrance on my first day. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. I'd spent 3 years in culinary school, another 2 working my way up in restaurant kitchens, and now I was here, about to cook for a man who probably had more blood on his hands than I had recipes in my head. The head of household, an older woman named Rosa with kind eyes and worry lines, met me at the staff entrance. "You're the 5th chef this year," she said quietly as she led me through marble hallways. "The others, they didn't work out. What happened to them?" She pressed her lips together. "Mrs. Santoro is very particular about her husband's meals. Very involved in the kitchen." Something in her tone made my skin prickle, but I nodded. Rich people were often controlling about food. I could handle that. The kitchen was a chef's dream, commercial-grade appliances, imported cookware, a pantry that looked like it could feed an army. Rosa showed me around, her instructions precise, but I caught her glancing toward the doorway every few seconds, like she expected someone to appear. "Mr. Santoro takes breakfast at 7, lunch at 1, dinner at 8, she said. "Mrs. Santoro will provide you with meal plans each morning. You follow them exactly. No substitutions. No creativity. Understand?" "Yes, but..." "No buts." Her hand closed around my wrist, surprisingly strong. "You follow the meal plans exactly, and you don't ask questions. That's how you survive here. Survive. Not succeed. Not thrive. Survive." I met Luca Santoro that first evening. He walked into the kitchen at 7:30, earlier than expected, and I nearly dropped the knife I was using to chop herbs. In person, he was both more and less than I'd imagined. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my car, but there was something diminished about him. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. His skin had a grayish tint that spoke of exhaustion or illness. When he moved, it was with the careful deliberation of someone in pain. "You're the new chef." His voice was rough, like he hadn't used it much lately. "Yes, sir. Sophia Russo." He studied me with dark eyes that seemed to look through me rather than at me. "Rosa says you're talented." "I do my best." "Good." He turned to leave, then paused. "What are you making?" I glanced at the meal plan Mrs. Santoro had given me that morning. Osso buco with saffron risotto and roasted vegetables. Something flickered across his face. "That was my mother's favorite dish. I'll make sure it's perfect." He nodded, but there was no warmth in the gesture. He looked like a man going through motions, playing a role. As he walked away, I noticed his hand briefly touch his stomach, just a quick press, gone almost before I registered it. Mrs. Santoro arrived as I was plating the dinner. Valentina Santoro was beautiful in the way a knife is beautiful, all sharp edges and gleaming surfaces. She wore white, always white, as if trying to distance herself from her husband's darker world. Her heels clicked against the marble floors like a countdown. "Let me see." I stepped back as she inspected the plates, her red-painted nails hovering over the food. She lifted the lid of a small sugar bowl on the counter, one I hadn't used, and added a pinch of something to the risotto. Just a small pinch, stirred in carefully. "What is that?" I asked. Her eyes snapped to mine, cold and assessing. "Saffron. You didn't use enough." But I had used plenty. I'd measured it precisely. And whatever she'd added didn't look like saffron, the color was wrong, more grayish than gold. Mrs. Santoro, are you questioning me in my own home? Her voice dropped to something dangerous. Perhaps you'd like to join the other chefs who thought they knew better than me. I swallowed my protest. No, ma'am. Good. Take it up. And remember, Sophia, you work for me, not my husband. The kitchen is my domain. I delivered the dinner to the private dining room, where Lucas sat alone at a table that could seat 20. Valentina didn't join him. I learned later she rarely did. As I set the plate before him, that same careful awareness made me pause. Enjoy your meal, sir. He picked up his fork, and I don't know what possessed me, fear for my job, instinct, something else, but I heard myself say, don't eat that. His fork stopped halfway to his mouth. Excuse me. The risotto. Don't eat it. My heart hammered against my ribs. Please. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then, slowly, he set down his fork. Why? Your wife added something to it. She said it was saffron, but it wasn't. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't saffron. The silence stretched between us, heavy and dangerous. I'd just accused his wife of tampering with his food. In a mafia boss's house. I was going to die here, probably buried in the garden before morning. But Luca didn't explode. He didn't call for his guards. Instead, he pushed back from the table and walked to the door, locking it. Then he returned to the plate, pulled out his phone, and made a call. Victor. My study. Now. Bring the kit. 5 minutes later, a man in glasses arrived with what looked like a medical case. Luca gestured to the food, and Victor, apparently some kind of doctor or scientist, ran a series of tests while I stood frozen by the wall. Arsenic, Victor finally said, his voice grim. Not enough to kill outright, but in these doses, over time, he looked at Luca with something like horror. How long have you been feeling sick? 6 months. Luca's voice was hollow. Maybe longer. Jesus, Luca. This is attempted murder. Slow, careful, but murder. I must have made a sound because both men turned to look at me. Luca's expression was unreadable. You saved my life tonight, he said quietly. Why? I don't know. It just felt wrong. He studied me for another long moment, then nodded to Victor. Get rid of this. Tell no one. Luca, you need to. I know what I need to do. His voice carried the weight of his position now, the authority that ran a criminal empire. But I need time. And Sophia, he turned to me, from now on, you taste everything before I eat it. My blood ran cold. You want me to be your poison tester? I want you to be my chef. But yes, you'll taste everything first. If my wife is trying to kill me, she won't risk killing you too. Too obvious. Too many questions. And if she doesn't care about obvious? A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Then I'll make sure your mother receives the best medical care available, and your family will never want for anything. He'd researched me. Of course he had. I don't want to die, I whispered. Neither do I. He moved closer, and I saw the exhaustion in his face, the way he held himself like every breath hurt. But I'm trapped, Sophia. My wife's family is connected to the Russian Bratva. I divorce her, I start a war that will kill hundreds. Maybe thousands. I accuse her of poisoning me without proof, same result. I need time to gather evidence, to find a way out that doesn't end in blood. So you'll just keep eating poison. You'll make my food. Only you. And you'll taste it first. If it's clean, I eat. If it's not, we document it, and Victor keeps the evidence. I wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at me to get out of this house, this situation, this nightmare. But I thought of my mother, of the bills that never stopped coming, of the way Luca looked at me, not like a monster, but like a man drowning who'd just found someone who could see him going under. Okay, I heard myself say. I'll do it. Over the next 2 weeks, I learned the rhythm of the house, the careful dance everyone performed around Valentina Santoro. She treated the staff like furniture, speaking freely in front of us as if we were deaf and mute. I learned she had lovers, multiple lovers, and that she considered Luca's money her due for tolerating his criminal activities. I learned she'd married him 5 years ago in an arrangement between families, and that she'd been trying to have him declared incompetent due to his illness so she could control his empire. I learned that Luca Santoro was dying by degrees, and everyone around him knew it but couldn't stop it. The first time I tasted his breakfast and felt the bitter chemical burn on my tongue, I ran to the bathroom and vomited. Rosa found me there, held my hair back, and whispered, "I know. I've known for months. But what can we do? We're just staff." "We can document it," I said, wiping my mouth. "We can help him build a case. And when Valentina finds out, when her family finds out, they'll kill us all." She was right. But when I went back to the kitchen and saw Luca waiting, looking grayer and thinner than he had just days ago, I couldn't walk away. "The orange juice is compromised," I told him. "And I think something in the coffee." He nodded like I'd confirmed something he suspected. "Make me something simple. Something she can't touch." I made him plain scrambled eggs, toast, fruit I washed and cut myself. He ate in the kitchen with me, and for the first time since I'd arrived, I saw him actually enjoy food. "You're good at this," he said, gesturing to the plate. Rosa was right. "Thank you. Tell me about yourself, Sophia. Why cooking?" It felt surreal, sitting in this palace of marble and secrets, talking to a mafia boss about my dreams. But his interest seemed genuine, and maybe we both needed something normal, something human. "My grandmother," I said. "She was from Sicily, and she taught me that food is love made visible. Every dish tells a story. Every meal is a gift." My mother said the same thing. His expression softened with memory. "She died when I was 15. Cancer. Fast and brutal. I'm sorry. She would have liked you." He stood, steadier now with real food in his system. "Keep me alive, Sophia. That's all I ask." But it became more than that. Over the following weeks, our kitchen conversations became the highlight of my days. Lucas started spending more time there, sitting at the counter while I cooked, talking about everything except his situation. I learned he'd wanted to be an architect, that he loved old buildings and classical music, that he'd never chosen this life. It had been chosen for him when his father died and he was the only son. "I'm good at it," he admitted one evening. "The business, the strategy, even the violence when necessary. But it's not what I wanted." "What did you want?" "To build things instead of destroying them. To create instead of control." He smiled sadly. "To have a wife who loved me instead of one who's poisoning me." I'd noticed he was getting stronger. With clean food, regular meals, and the careful doses of chelation therapy Victor was administering to remove the arsenic from his system, Luca was coming back to life. His skin had better color. His eyes were clearer. He moved without pain now. When I called my mother that week, she told me she'd seen a new specialist, one she couldn't have afforded before, and for the first time in months, her voice carried hope instead of exhaustion. But Valentina noticed too. "He's getting better," she said one morning, cornering me in the pantry. "Why is he getting better, Sophia?" "I don't know, Mrs. Santoro. Maybe he's just recovering naturally." Her hand shot out, grabbing my chin and forcing me to meet her eyes. "Don't lie to me. What are you doing differently?" "Nothing. I follow your meal plans exactly." "Then why aren't they working anymore?" Her nails dug into my skin. "I've been very patient, very careful. And now he's getting stronger instead of weaker. That's unacceptable." She released me with a shove, and I stumbled back against the shelves. "Perhaps," she said coldly, "the problem isn't the food. Perhaps it's the chef." That night, I found a dead rat in my car. The next day, my apartment was broken into, nothing stolen but everything disturbed. The message was clear: Valentina knew I was interfering, and she was warning me to stop. I should have been terrified. I was terrified. But I was also angry. I found Luca in his study, surrounded by papers and photographs, evidence, I realized, of Valentina's affairs, her stealing from his businesses, her communications with her family's rivals. She threatened me today, I said. He looked up sharply. How? I told him everything. When I finished, his expression was murderous. I'm moving you into the house. The guest wing. You'll have security. Luca, that will only make her more suspicious. I don't care. He stood, moving around the desk to stand before me. She's already suspicious. But she won't touch you here, not where my men can see. Why are you protecting me? The question hung between us, loaded with everything we hadn't said. His hand came up, almost touching my face, then dropped. Because you're the only person in 5 years who's seen me as a human being instead of a tool or a target, he said quietly. Because you're keeping me alive, yes, but also because you're reminding me what it feels like to be alive. Do you understand? I did. God help me, I did. Because somewhere between the poisoned meals and the late-night conversations, between watching him suffer and helping him heal, I'd stopped seeing him as the dangerous mafia boss and started seeing him as just Luca. A man trapped in a gilded cage, married to a woman who wanted him dead, surrounded by violence but craving peace. I understand, I whispered. His thumb brushed my cheek, so gentle it made my chest ache. I'm going to end this, Sophia. I'm going to get out. But I need more time. How much time? Victor thinks another month before all the arsenic is out of my system. Then I'll be strong enough to act. To fight. And until then, you keep cooking. I keep eating. And we both stay alive. But Valentina wasn't patient. 2 weeks later, she called me to her private sitting room. I went because refusing would have been more dangerous, but every instinct screamed at me to run. She was drinking wine, still in her white clothes, beautiful and terrible. Sit, she commanded. I sat. I know what you're doing, she said conversationally. You and my husband. The little conversations in the kitchen. The way he looks at you. Mrs. Santoro, I'm just the chef. You're fucking him. Her voice was flat, certain. No. I would never. Don't lie to me. The wine glass shattered against the wall beside my head, and I flinched. I've seen the way he's changed since you arrived. Stronger. Happier. That's not because of food, you stupid girl. That's because he's betraying me. We haven't done anything, I said, forcing steadiness into my voice. I cook his meals. That's all. She stood, moving toward me with predatory grace. You know what I think? I think you've been switching his food. Taking my carefully prepared meals and giving him clean ones. Is that it? Have you ruined months of work? My silence was answer enough. Her laugh was sharp and bitter. You self-righteous little bitch. Do you know what he is? What he's done? The people he's killed. And you're protecting him. Do you know what you are? The words burst out before I could stop them. You're murdering your own husband. Slowly. Painfully. That's evil. Her hand cracked across my face, hard enough to snap my head to the side. He deserves it, she hissed. Forcing me into this marriage, trapping me in this life, keeping me from the man I actually love. He deserves everything I've done to him and more. Then divorce him. And give up all this. She gestured to the room, the house, the empire beyond. No. I'll be a rich widow instead. And you, Sophia, you'll be the tragic chef who died in a car accident. These things happen. She called for someone, and 2 men entered, not Luca's men, I realized with horror. Men who worked for her family. Take her, Valentina said. Make it look like an accident. They grabbed my arms, and I screamed. I fought. But they were professionals, and I was just a chef who'd gotten in too deep. They were dragging me toward the door when it exploded inward. Luca filled the doorway, and for the first time since I'd met him, I saw the man everyone feared. His face was cold, his eyes dead, and the gun in his hand was steady. Let her go. The men dropped my arms immediately, stepping back with their hands raised. They might work for Valentina's family, but they knew better than to challenge Luca Santoro in his own house. Luca, Valentina started. Shut up. He moved into the room, and his men flooded in behind him, real security, loyal to him, armed and dangerous. I've been recording everything for the past 10 minutes. The threats, the confession, all of it. Valentina's face went white. You can't prove anything. I can prove you've been poisoning me for 6 months. I can prove you've stolen $3 million from my accounts. I can prove you've been feeding information to the Kozlov Bratva about my operations. He smiled, and it was terrifying. Victor kept samples of every compromised meal. We have enough arsenic to prove attempted murder 10 times over. My family will destroy you. Your family will disown you when I show them what you've done. Poisoning is coward's work, Valentina. It's dishonorable. They'll cast you out rather than start a war over someone who broke the code. He was right. I saw it in her face, the moment she realized she'd lost. You have 1 hour to pack and leave, Luca said. You'll sign divorce papers agreeing to walk away with nothing. If you refuse, I'll have you arrested and let you take your chances with the courts. If you ever come near me or mine again, his eyes flicked to me, I'll kill you myself. You wouldn't dare. Try me. She must have seen the truth in his face because she didn't argue further. Just gathered what remained of her dignity and swept from the room, her men trailing behind her. When they were gone, Luca's facade cracked. He swayed, and I rushed to him, catching his arm. I'm okay, he said, but he wasn't. His hands were shaking. I heard her threaten you, and I couldn't let her hurt you. You saved me. You saved me first. His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing over the mark Valentina had left. You saw me dying, and you didn't look away. You didn't stay silent. You risked everything. I couldn't watch you suffer. Why? His voice broke on the word. Why would you care about a man like me? Because you're not just a man like you, I said. You're Luca. You're the guy who sits in my kitchen and talks about architecture. Who remembers his mother's favorite dish? Who's trapped in a life he didn't choose but is trying so hard to be honorable anyway? You're not a monster. You're just, you. He kissed me then, soft and desperate and full of months of loneliness and fear and hope. I kissed him back, tasting freedom and future and the beginning of something real. When we finally broke apart, he pressed his forehead to mine. I need time, he whispered. Time to heal completely. Time to untangle my life from hers. Time to become the man you deserve. I'm not going anywhere. Promise me. I promise. It took 3 months for everything to settle. Valentina signed the papers and disappeared to Europe with her lover. Her family, disgusted by her methods, accepted a negotiated peace. Victor confirmed Luca was completely clear of poison, his health restored. And slowly, carefully, Luca began restructuring his empire. Moving away from the violence, toward legitimate businesses. It would take years, maybe decades, but he was trying. For himself. For the future. For us. One evening, 6 months after that terrible night, I was cooking in my kitchen, not the mansion's kitchen anymore, but my own, in the house Luca had bought for me, over my protests, just down the road from the estate. He appeared in the doorway, and my heart still skipped when I saw him. Something smells good, he said, moving behind me to wrap his arms around my waist. Osso buco. Your mother's recipe. Our first meal. The first one you didn't eat, technically. He laughed, and the sound was lighter now, freer. The first one you saved me from eating. There's a difference. I turned in his arms, studying his face. The color was back, the life in his eyes, the strength in his frame. He looked like a different man from the one I'd met a year ago. Or maybe just like the man he'd always been, finally allowed to breathe. My mother had called that morning to tell me her latest scans were clear, her voice stronger than I'd heard it in years. I was thinking, he said softly, about building something. Building? An actual building. Maybe several. I've been meeting with architects, looking at properties. There's a neighborhood on the east side that needs renovation. Community housing, mixed-use spaces. I want to do it right. Luca, that's wonderful. Come with me tomorrow to see the plans. His voice carried a note of vulnerability that still surprised me. I want your opinion. I'm a chef, not an architect. You're the woman I love. That makes your opinion the most important one. The words still made my breath catch. We'd said them before, but they never got old. I love you too, I whispered. And yes, I'll come see your plans. He kissed me, gentle and deep, and I thought about fate and chance and the strange path that had brought us here. A poisoned meal. A moment of instinct. A choice to see beyond the monster everyone else feared. Sometimes saving someone means keeping them alive. And sometimes it means showing them they're worth living for. I'd done both, and Luca had saved me right back, from a small life, from fear, from never knowing what it felt like to be loved this completely. Food's burning, he murmured against my lips. Let it burn. He laughed again, and we stayed there, wrapped in each other, while the osso buco definitely burned and neither of us cared. Because we'd both had enough of poison. Now we wanted nothing but sweetness, and time, and the simple joy of meals shared with someone who saw you, truly saw you, and loved what they found. This was a fictional story. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to Benny's Romance Stories for more dark romance every single day. Drop a comment telling me what you thought, or what kind of story you want to hear next. See you in the next one.